Well, welcome to a late night edition. I know in the UK or out in Europe, but it is an edition that we are going to be. Oh, good. We're going to be joined by the Irishman. Big up, big up, Brian. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, very well.
Very well, very good. Hopefully better than yesterday. Closer to 100%, maybe. Hopefully,
I had a
maybe it.
bit of a setback today, but I'm
Oh,
all right.
okay. I hope that at least it's maybe one step back, two steps forward. Hopefully, how about that?
Yeah.
Maybe but glad to have you here. Going to be doing a little bit of like this. I guess you could call it transfer tea, but more like it's just rumor. I should have called it maybe like the rumor room, basically, because I was looking at a lot of the headlines out there, and it seems like so many of them are just speculations or it's just rumors, but it's all circulating around transfers, players that are going to be possibly, um, pursued, prices that are going to be spent, money, war chest, blah blah blah, all these different little like buzzwords that some people don't want to hear. But again, we appreciate the fact that if anybody is there to listen to us, kind of have our little bit of a say, cool. Hopefully, you see us on the replay if you can't watch us live. But we all appreciate it, whichever way it ends up being. We definitely appreciate the fact that you're here in one way or another. So, big up to everyone that is there. Big up Jimmy as well. Big up Jimmy. See that Jimmy's saying hello. Good to see you. Um, I guess what I wanted to start off the show today with Brian and myself is basically a little bit of an update on the current status of our Reds that are on the mend. So let's kick this off, right? The latest injury news. Unfortunately, Joe Gomez is still on the mend. Connor Bradley is still on the mend. And obviously, um, a name that somewhat is going is is on the borderline of not wanting to be spoken about. But Trent Alexander-Arnold is also obviously out with no exact timeline for the return. That's one thing that I was hoping that we would have an answer for, or at least some idea as to what is going on, at least with Joe and Connor Bradley. Trent Alexander-Arnold at this moment isn't exactly the name that is that we are really you know clamoring to see return. But for some, he is. I get it. I get it. But um, but he is an influence. Trent Alexander is an influence, and he does make a difference. But there is a bit of good news. Ryan Gravenberg and also Allison Becker actually are hopeful to return for the Merseyside derby against Everton. Arnie Slot will provide an update next Tuesday. So I guess fingers crossed, I guess you could say, or fingers and toes crossed. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But I also will say a quick update because this was something that was a player that was mentioned earlier or yesterday, I should say. And that is on Jaden Dan's, or at least his loan update. A quick word is that his loan move to Sunderland hasn't quite gone as to plan. He's still recovering from an injury. The injury is a back injury that has been a nagging injury. It's somewhat of a concern for me. I don't know if it is for you guys out there because this is something that was troubling him in the summer. But he's still recovering from an injury. He hasn't even trained with the Black Cats yet, and it's looking like time might be running out for him to make a real impact this season. Um, with those injury updates, Brian, are you, I wouldn't say shocked or surprised, but more so, are you alarmed or maybe, are you concerned by some of by the lack of information for some of the, the main regulars of our team? And even more so, are you concerned maybe about this Jaden Dance lingering injury that he's going through?
Yeah, I didn't know that he hadn't played. I kind of forgotten that he went. I remember him going there, obviously when you said it, but I didn't realize he'd been kind of just you know, what is he actually there? Like, or is he still like in Liverpool
Oh,
getting treatment? I mean,
like, is he back at the training facilities
yeah,
doing
yeah,
like
yeah.
hours? The article didn't really say. I know that that initially he
He's right.
had gone to the team to the Black Cats, but
Yeah.
like, but I'm not certain if he's back with. You know how like sometimes they'll bring him back because our facilities are a lot
Mm.
better and blah blah blah. I don't know about that. Maybe someone in the chat might know, have more information on that. But I do know that he is still is the one big concern for me at least is that it's that back injury that kept him kind of like in the
Yeah.
lurch of like playing for us during the summer, and that's still a nagging, you know, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's tall lad, young kid. You know,
no more
he's
knee
like
slides
Gerrard.
or any of the no more of those like
Yeah, Gerrard had back problems.
yeah.
Turned out it was a tooth.
Mhm.
It was a tooth putting pressure on a nerve, and that nerve was setting off another nerve, which was sending pain through his back because pain travels down through your body, it doesn't travel up. So that trapped nerve, or the way that was actually sending pain down through his body, and it was manifesting in his back. And it was some clever dentist or something figured out that that was the cause of his back problem. So for a
Oh,
young kid talking, that's for a year. That kind of thing is it's a bit concerning because you will be talking about not now you'll be talking about 9 months, but if he misses a season, like if you're what are we now, 27th of March, yeah, you know,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
kind
That's
of
that's why it's a concern for me at least. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he's not going to get off. If he hasn't even trained with them since January, then he's not really going to have any chance to contribute to Sunderland this season.
Right.
Especially if they
Right.
have like if they're going for the title or they're going for like playoffs or whatever, they might they'll have a settled side. So he's looks like he's lost the best part of the season, which is
To make a difference or even break into the lineup.
yeah,
That's like as
to
in
even be yeah,
yeah,
it could be kind of because they're not going to be paying his wages for him to
just sit there and
never
cover.
play for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like
Exactly.
if he played a game for them and got injured in that game, that's different. But he's
Mhm.
not even kind of shown up for duty. So hopefully it's just kind of part of growing up as a kid because he's very tall, he's very rangy,
Mhm.
so it could be a growing kind of thing. But he seems fully grown already.
Mhm.
Um, 6 foot odd. He looks 6 foot odd. I remember finding out he wasn't actually that tall, but he looks really
He
tall.
looks tall, but that's because like
Yeah,
his hair possibly and his
I
lanky
suppose, and he's
style.
skinny as well. He's kind of
Yeah.
long and skinny.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Exactly.
I had kind of forgotten to keep an eye on what was happening with him there, but that's obviously why we weren't hearing anything about him on the grapevine. He scored a weekend, yada yada, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So with the other lads, yeah, when they go away, it's always a bit of a waiting game to see who comes back.
Mhm.
You hear a word, they pick up a knock. But yeah, the other ones, no, that's fine. We weren't really expecting them back. I think Trent might be feeling an extra bit sore this weekend. I think he might need another week off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not quite
Yeah.
ready to go back to school and face
Yeah,
everybody
I'm
yet.
sure he's
Yeah,
probably sitting there going like, "Yeah,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? Let's just hold off a little bit of something here."
Heat up
Yeah,
that
yeah.
thermometer.
Yeah, exactly. Um, big up, big up. We got JK in the house with us. We got some good people in the house too. Big up Trudon, big up Red Armchair Supporter, big up Marion, Lady Southward, as we like to say. Big up to Jimmy, like we said earlier, and big up to Edward as well. But how are you doing, JK? A
I'm
little
all
late
good,
night,
bro.
I know.
Late night show, yeah.
Yeah,
Left with
yeah,
Brian.
yeah.
Brian.
I had a good time last time on the late night. I had some other things I had to do earlier, so it pushed it until late night. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I read and a lot of stuff that I had prepared that I was like, you know what, I want to get into some conversation with the people about what's going on. You know, obviously there's that main topic of that is really circulating, but there's some other things that we can get into as well. There's are some other things we can get into. But how are you good?
Bro, I still can't get over the week we had and the Trent deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard, bro. But another day, like closer to the Everton game, I think the closer that comes and we beat them, the better.
Mm-hmm.
Distraction, just get back to that winning that title and just do it properly. You know what I mean?
Sure.
For me,
Sure.
players are players. They're gonna do what they want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
if you keep on thinking about it, what's gonna happen? You're gonna miss the games that are coming up. You know what I mean? So for me, Trent is the last of my worries right now, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, I've always had a funny feeling he will leave. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
it's not a biggie with me no more. So I'm just concentrating on Everton, because for me, if we don't win that game, we're going to just get a lot of noise from everywhere. And I don't really want to hear nothing no more, because the last 3 weeks have been pretty bad.
Okay. Yeah, they have been. They have been really, really poor for us. I thought though that you're the illest though. I thought you're not just little Biggie Smalls shout.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
Biggie.
No biggie, man. You know
No
what I mean?
Biggie. But all right, well then, you know what? Why not? Let's just do it then. Because it is unfortunate. We were just talking about Jaden Dan's, like whether we should be concerned about it, whether we should even possibly recall the player to Liverpool and just forget about trying to, you know, pursue, or maybe even the Black Cats just say, you know what, this isn't working out, and send him back. Because who knows about that situation. I mean, it is a certain Sunderland is trying to handle their own situations, in trying to do what they need to be done with their campaign. But
Yeah, they're in the playoffs.
Right, exactly.
I think they're third or fourth, one of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess let's just rip the Band-Aid back off a little bit, throw a little bit of Neosporin on it so we can get on with our day. Because I watched I watched multiple content creator takes on the likes, but going past those takes, I did see some takes done by the quote unquote professional pundits, whether it was Steve Nicol, who told basically all of us on social media to go and take a long walk off a short pier, basically. And Craig Burley sitting beside him doing the same old, Scottish rah-rah chant. And and then I also heard, but the one thing I did was intrigued to hear was on the Gary Neville's show. They had Keane, they have Wright, they had also obviously Jamie on the show, and they have I forget the female's name on the show too, but she tends to be somewhat of a on and off regular for the show too. And it was interesting because let's be honest, Jamie and Gary were kind of snippy towards each other. I don't know if you saw. Did you guys see the episode by any chance that I'm referencing?
The overlap.
Yeah.
Not the most recent one, no.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
You're just confusing because I know her bloody name. It's on the tip of my tongue. So I just.
It's not Downs, is it? No. Is it the one who played? Is it the one who played?
She played professional. She's
an ex-England player. She's ex-England. No. It's not Gem. It's fucking.
Tall.
Yeah, tall. Yeah.
Tall female player of the game. It was snippy because I'm not going to try playing it because I know that they most likely will copyright me for playing it, but it was very, very snippy in the sense of Jamie was saying things like, okay, Gary, we all get it that you're doing your facial movements, and you're making all your I don't get it acting acting stupid, basically for the cameras. And Gary was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what are you talking about?" And it was awkward a little bit because they sit next to each other too. And Jill Scott, is that her name?
Yeah, that's it. That's
okay. Big up Trudon. Big up Trudon. So they were kind of going at it because basically Keane said, Keane and Righty brought it up, or Righty really brought it up somewhat. But they were talking about, what it is, how they were explaining how they've all gone through their own things. The fact about all three, they're trying to not only just talk about Trent's contract, but they were talking about all three participants in this, as the world turns episode of Liverpool Reds here. And they were speaking on how, Keane was talking about how he had a somewhat similar situation where he was going into his I think he was 31, I want to say, or something. He was in his 30s, and he ended up getting a 5-year deal or something, right? Which is pretty unheard of. But he still got a deal. But how it was different and this and that, and and Jamie was trying to explain it from his perspective. And it's very similar to some of the things that we were speaking on. Gary Neville was talking about some of the things, but I have some of the quotes, or at least some of the quotes that he's made on not only that show, but on other podcasts as well. So let me give you this one. So so Gary, this is what it was. Gary Neville's Trent Alexander claim and Jerry disappointment. Says disappointment. It seems like there's not one thing people are unhappy with. It's leaving on a free, or that he should have come out and told the club earlier. People are angry for 3 or 4 different things. He says, I'm not angry. This is Jamie speaking. I'm not angry about him going on a free. In an ideal world, Liverpool would get 70 to 80 million pounds for him to reinvest, but you can't have it both ways as a supporter. If Liverpool signed someone on a free in the summer, we'd all be delighted. So does that mean that his former club should absolutely hate him? Also, when you're a local player, you don't cost anything. He says Trent going on a free is like Virgil van Dijk leaving for 75 million. We'd still break even. He goes, where I'm at is that as a local player and a Liverpool fan, Liverpool are in a position where they're competing for the league and a European Cup every year. So if you're a Liverpool fan and a local player, I'm just disappointed that he doesn't think that this is it. As for Gary Neville's controversial claim, he claimed that Trent Alexander-Arnold will struggle to get into Real Madrid's starting 11 if he joins the La Liga side because of 2 options that the Los Blancos already have. This is what he had to say. He said, I said that I thought he had, and this is Gary speaking, I thought he had to get more serious about his defending. I've said that constantly, or else it will cause him problems. They said this on Stick to Football podcast. This wasn't on, he did re-emphasize that on his own podcast as well, the overlap. But he also said it on the Stick. This is from the Stick to Football podcast that said basically the same comments that he reiterated on that show. He says, I think it will cause him a problem at Real Madrid because they have Federico Valverde, who is playing right back currently, and Danny Carvajal. When he's back, he's going to have some serious competition. They are brilliant players, and he's going to find it tough there. Gary Neville then went on about Trent Alexander-Arnold to say at the end of the season, it will leave Liverpool a huge hole if those 3 players leave on a free. They won't have the money to replace them, and you could argue there is £250 million in those 3. So he was arguing with Jamie, though, even though he did say a lot of that on another podcast. That was a lot of his argument back at Jamie, and he kept emphasizing the fact about what was interesting is he kept talking about things that I know Gary knows the truth about. but he was kind of conveniently leaving those parts out of the conversation because Jamie was talking about the fact that, look, and they even brought it up on overlap. They brought up the fact that, look, it's very interesting that Trent Alexander-Arnold was offered a contract. He's the younger of Ali. I think it was also, I want to say Virgil got a new contract at the very same time, and it might have been, or Robbo. It was one of those players. But it was about the fact that, Ali signed a 5 or 6 year deal. And then, they were signing 5 and 6 year deals. And they all emphasized the fact that, yeah, you get 5 or 6 year deals. There's no way that you would want to sign a player at that age at 4 years. And that's what he did. And it was he was very much saying it's a calculated move by his brother, by Trent, to do this. And he was very critical. Jamie was very critical of him. And Gary was kind of, trying to hold the end of, oh, well, this is all on the board, and this is everyone should be happy. Everyone should be happy, or for Trent. And that's the take also, by the way, that Steve Nicol and Craig Burley took as well, saying that we as fans, if we hold any grudges against a player, then we don't have an inkling of an idea of how football works, and this is how the system is, and just get over it. How do you feel about some of these comments? We'll ask you first, JK. How do you feel about it? And also in the chat, you can tell us as well.
It's pure soap opera, bro. When you look at the last few weeks, we've offered the content creators and media outlets pure entertainment in the way we've handled our business on the pitch and off it. And we're getting pretty sick and tired of that. The way we run our club sometimes. But at the end of the day, no matter what we say, Carragher or Gary Neville, it's up to Trent, in my opinion. Hence why I've got no beef with this situation, because for me, everyone has to decide themselves what they want to do. It don't matter what Jamie and Carragher and Neville and all these guys say. For me, it gives ammunition to people like Gary Neville, these sort of topics, Okay. But for me, Brian says players back players. True. It's true.
Yeah. You could tell it. But it is interesting though that, I mean, I get it. Steve Nicol is a former Liverpool player. He is also a Liverpool legend. But it is interesting that, Jamie's take is seemingly and overwhelmingly different than Steve Nicol's take. And it's very, very interesting. I'm trying to think of what's that?
It's a bit of a messy situation that we really didn't want to be involved in. Do you think it would have happened if we were still in the Champions League? That's the question, Imagine we win the League Cup, beat Newcastle, and now we're looking forward to a game against Villa in the Champions League, plus the league. I'm not sure if this news might have not came out. I'm not sure, But timing-wise, not really great as well.
It isn't. But I think Real Madrid would have Real Madrid and also
you're about to put the dots together.
What's that?
You're very, very close to putting the dots together there.
Okay.
I'll see where you go. I'll see if you get where it would have inevitably ended up.
Oh, we would have inevitably, especially if we had to face them.
Yeah.
So
2 days before the game,
they would have probably announced they probably would have leaked a little bit of this and a little bit of that for us to try to falter in our Villa game. And then once we faced them, they would have went all out, I think. You would have heard an all-out campaign.
48 hours before kickoff, that news would have come out. 100%. We're signing them. Basically, it's an all but done deal. They would have loved to do that as well. Just right in the middle of our week of preparations for a huge game against them. What's this little story? You know, that's
Yep.
exactly what they would have done that in a heartbeat. They would have done that.
Yep. Especially with with the update about them having some players that are apparently on the mend or won't be available for their first, at least for the first matchup against Arsenal. I mean, they will likely try to make as much of the headlines take the pressure off of them and their performance be more centered around how they look, I guess you could say.
Just on what the boys were saying, just something like, what I mean is like ex-Liverpool fullback Steve Nicol is going to back Trent. Jamie Carragher is absolutely like, I thought, I watched stupidly. I watched The Athletic
Okay.
today, the podcast that they put up, which is basically how did this happen? Which is just another excuse to blow smoke up David Ornstein's backside.
Oh yeah,
And
sure. Was he on the show?
oh yeah, it was the guy that is always on. I think Aji, or he's got one a Nigerian kind of like Aji Akora or
Oh,
something like
okay.
that.
Yeah, he hosted it. Okay.
He's
Yeah.
the host. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then they had James Pierce. They had Phil
Yeah, he's
Hay.
like the guy in the middle, and then he has like two guys on the side or something.
Well, they were all on screens. They were all on
Oh,
screens.
okay.
So yeah, they had Ornstein, James Pierce, Phil Hay, and just talking about, Ornstein, 2 nights ago you were winning an award for being an amazing journalist, and now 24 hours later the Trent thing happens. My God, it must be so difficult being David Ornstein in your amazing life. And he's like, oh, that's the life of a transfer journalist. It's like, Christ almighty, it's like he's won the Pulitzer or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, he went on a full PR for Trent, and he literally just sat there for the first. Now, this is award-winning journalist David
Right.
Ornstein. The first, I'd say, 5 minutes of what he was talking about was, there's loads of people on Twitter saying loads of shit things. And people on Twitter, they should shut up because they don't know what they're talking about. These are just, and he didn't name one single name. He didn't name an account. He didn't mention one person. He just
Okay.
basically clapped back at a load of randomers on Twitter. And he said, these people, they don't know what's going on. They don't know if they think this, if they think that. It was like, Jesus, man. He sounded like a 15-year-old, just saying all these people that are talking shit
I'm
about Trent.
sure a lot of those people
should
added
shut up.
him. They probably added him in the comments that they'd be making.
Oh, yeah.
on
No. Well, it's his story they'd be commenting on. And it's like,
Yeah.
he's all these people that are commenting, they should shut up because they don't know what's happening. Like, just talking about randos on Twitter, not talking about Gary Neville, not saying this guy's come out and said this or anyone's come out and said that. Acting like a total child, going full on PR for Trent, which I thought was very interesting.
Mhm.
Like, full on PR for Trent.
It is.
So I'm sure he's been promised a few interviews and a few
Probably,
exclusives.
probably
So
with Trent. Yeah.
with Trent to explain it. So
Yeah.
that'll be potentially keep an
That's a
eye out
good
for that
angle.
one.
That's a very good angle. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. So James Pierce, I just didn't really give a shit what he had to say because he had nothing to say. And it
Right.
was just a whole lot of talk going around in circles about nothing, just saying like, oh, if a club can't sign a player to a contract, that player's probably going to leave. And it's like, yeah. Just real lightweight shit, especially for the Athletic.
Mhm.
So, but there is what Carragher is saying about, like, that was a really stupid thing to say that it's the same as selling Van Dijk for 75 million. You break even. Like, break even is not what people are interested in, Jamie. People aren't interested in breaking even. That's not why they're pissed off. Now, some people are a lot more pissed off than I am. Some people aren't half as pissed off. But everyone has their own level of pissed off on this. But for Jamie to try and explain it away and saying, well, he cost nothing and he left for nothing, so what's the problem?
Mhm.
I mean, that's just real scraping the bottom of the barrel.
That's pretty. Even I was like, yo, I don't know
Come
about
on.
that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
I don't
not
know
the
about
same
that
as-
angle. That's a wild
Yeah.
angle to take, man. Like,
Yeah,
that's
and
just
if you
basically
did sell a player
saying,
for 75 million, you'd have that 75 million to spend.
it's
There's
almost
also
like,
that.
yeah, it's almost like saying, oh well, you know what? I didn't really. I got a voucher from the casino. I got a $200 voucher. I went in and I was up 2,000, but I lost the 2,000. It wasn't my money anyway. Like It's kind of like, yeah, it was.
You kind of had $2,000 though.
Yeah, exactly. You turned 200 into $2,000. It's your money. But you're looking at it like, I came in with nothing, so me leaving with nothing's okay.
Yeah, it's like those
is it?
dickheads on the game show who fuck it up on the last round. They're like, I came with nothing. I go home with nothing. Yeah, but you were like really close to $1 million. Like, nah,
Exactly.
well, I came with nothing. I'm going home with nothing. I'm happy. No, you're not. No,
No,
you're
you're
not.
not. No, you're not. Oh man, yeah. I've just seen every. It's like I've seen a couple. They're funny too. There's a segment with the epic game show fails, and it's like, like the
I
one
would
time
get
the girl
Jamie
was
on
trying to
that.
like come up with who's some Justin Timberlake song or something that she knew, but for some reason her brain just didn't go the right direction, and she told her partner, she's like, "Oh, I know it's this, I know it's that." He's like, "Okay." They put all the money into it, and it's one of those things where the money, like, if you're wrong, you watch the money fall away in front of you or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. Kind of what happened with us, somewhat. But yeah, he went on to go and say, you're talking about one of the best strikers in Europe, one of the best center halves in Europe, one of the best right backs in Europe. We get that. They're the best players in the world, have got contracts running down, but Liverpool have done a great job of managing that. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't accept that. That's what Gary Neville has to say. But I also can understand this, and this is something that I want to emphasize too, that when we talked about the structure of what Liverpool had originally in the beginning parts of the Jurgen Klopp reign. Now, whether you're all about Jurgen Klopp and him having control and him being like more of the old school structure that franchises or clubs, go under. Initially, it was the committee kind of concept. It was, obviously Edwards, it was Ward, it was like that kind of concept going on. And this is something that Jamie brought up. He said, but then Edwards went away, Ward took over, and Ward left 6 months later, and then they brought in Schmacke, and they needed someone to bring in, because he's like, who was the sporting director? He like literally like called Gary Neville out on it, and Gary Neville was like, I don't know who it was. He's like, I don't know who was it, and like that's why I was like, it was kind of awkward at points, and he's like, yeah, it was Schmacke. It was like one of Klopp's boys in a sense, it was one of Klopp's like trusted confidants, and Schmacke didn't have a job at the time, and he took up the job, and he did. And this is not a knock at Schmacke. You can say what you want in the chat, or obviously on the panel too. But I mean, like, you can say what you want in the comments as well. And I will be getting on the comments. I've had a pretty busy schedule this week, so I will be answering a lot of your comments. But he is basically saying that Schmacke, came into the club and got the deals that needed to be done. And I pretty much can say, yes, I understand he might not have been the one that initially started some of the deals, like maybe he didn't necessarily be the first to opt for Szoboszlai or whatever. But the fact is, he's the one that got the deals done, period. He was the one that it got, and when he was there, he was the one that had to sign off on it. So 4 good players come in, all well and good. But he just kept emphasizing the fact that you now have Schmacke in, who in those 2 years left that everyone's clamoring about and everything else, whether it's been 4 years, 2 years, they're all talking about the sheer fact that those 2 years that Schmacke was there, there's only so much that Schmacke was probably going to get done. And also there was only so much you would expect to get done, considering you have 2 players in their 30s that, despite what everyone wants to say, are not guarantees to not see a cliff. And you have a young player that has definitely angled himself in the best direction to get a exit plan out of the team, because now he can look at it and say, oh, well, I want to just hang on. I'll be here this last year, but you know what? Before I sign anything, even though Edwards, even though Ward, even though Hughes are now the new administration, he can still say, you know what? I want to sit back. I want to see what this coach does. I want to see where our direction goes. A lot of that, I think, truthfully, sounded like a lot of, as Trent would go. So, I know you had a very, but hearing that, JK, does that not at least put a little bit of a different spin on it, maybe for you, or are you still steadfast in thinking that, that the club is at full fault for the most part, where the majority of the fault lays at the foot of the club?
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't trying to give the club an out. The club has a part in the problem of the problem that is created, certainly.
But for me, bro, as I was saying earlier about it all revolves around Trent and his decision. So for me, if the club could have offered him 400 grand a week and the future captain's armband, and still he could have said no. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of both. I think sometimes when fans go over the top with the club should have done this, the club should, it don't really matter what the club did, because for me, the club are going to offer him an improved wage, no doubt. But at the same time, the guy probably wants to go to another country and play football. And that's how I'm seeing it, bro.
Yeah, he was apparently offered like 320,000 a week. He's offered well over 300,000 a week.
Yeah, not a bad wage.
And he's taking and what he's doing is taking a salary that's well under that number. Obviously, it makes up with his sign-on fee. But
yeah, that's how he's doing it. Yeah, he's getting a large sum at the front. Yeah,
yeah. But the sheer fact of that he's making money isn't a shame.
Yeah. If Liverpool said, you know what, we're going to give you the same wage you're getting now, 220, around that. That's what he's going to get at Madrid. Then you could say, yeah, I want to move. But at the end of the day, they said we'll improve it. We'll give you an extra 100 grand. So what else could they do, really? When you really, really think about it, he's a right back, bro. He ain't a striker. Strikers get them type of wages, you know what I mean? He's a right back, and I think it was just his desire to go. I think it's inside of him. Maybe his family have said, you know what, let's go. Let's move from Liverpool out. Boom. So that's how I see it, bro.
Yeah.
You could, it's like when you're in a relationship with someone, you don't really want to be with someone, you don't really want to be there. Some people do it. Some people do it, but me personally, I couldn't do it.
But the kids, you got to do it for the kids.
Yeah. And the mortgage we've got.
Exactly. I asked this to the chat. I'll ask this to you then.
Can I ask you guys a question first?
Okay, go ahead.
Do you think, because this is something I meant to ask earlier on, do you think the fact that both Neville and Carragher were homegrown, talents at their clubs,
Right.
both played fullback, both were English, different levels, obviously, to Trent, but do you think the fact that they never left their hometown clubs and went out and did what Trent is doing, do you think that makes them kind of more or better place to talk about this, or worse place to talk about it? Because Carver was talking about some of those.
I think it does.
He stayed, he never left. So he'd only have that perspective.
I think Jamie, if of any person to talk about it, I think Jamie would be an excellent source to speak on, or speak to, considering that obviously he was a one club man. He born and bred, born and raised, I meant, Liverpoolian, Scouser. Albeit he was an Everton fan growing up, but he obviously has joined his allegiance to Liverpool, and he recognizes the sheer fact of there's a lot, and this is what Steve Nicol and Craig Burley spoke on too, but there's a lot of what this young man has on his plate or at his feet, and that is he has the entire world, Liverpool and everything about Liverpool certainly has been propping this man up, propping this young man up. They've invested obviously millions upon millions of dollars as a youngster, putting advanced, bringing advanced training to the player and the likes. But the sheer fact that he is a Scouser, the fact that he's on it means more settings. I know that saying, that quote by him is going to not only haunt him possibly, but is going to follow him for a long time. And it's the fact that when you speak about Trent, you could say, yeah, I understand Jamie was a great player, but Jamie's no Trent Alexander-Arnold.
That's what I mean. It's just the fact they never left,
Right.
Like they were hometown boys and they never left. Are they are they better placed to talk about it, or are they worse placed to talk about it? I don't know, because it's interesting, because they both would probably admit that, like, they didn't do what he's done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to make the last part and point of what I was going to say is that if you want to talk about possibly one of the largest and biggest legends certainly in the majority of our eras, okay, we would have to say Stevie G. We have to say about how there's a lot of quotes that have been attributed to Stevie G, and a player who, what was different, and this is what Jamie emphasized, what is different about those players is that Stevie had the opportunity to go to Chelsea. Chelsea was on the upturn. They were winning. He could have went, but he decided not to. There's the quotes by Jurgen Klopp, who says, I think he said it to Coutinho, I want to say, but you can go and play elsewhere and just be a player. I'm paraphrasing, but like you can stay here and they can they can raise a statue for you, in your honor, in a sense. And why I keep bringing up the Jurgen Klopp comment is because the major difference is Stevie did not have the foundation of a very accomplished and very talented team that could and can win. He's on the verge of winning his second Premier League title. The fact, as a Scouser, as a Liverpool fan, whether you live in Liverpool or global, we all know that number 20 that hangs over, you can see how it says 19 here behind me, that going to number 20 and then possibly going to a 21 or a 22, especially at this stage of where Manchester United are in their evolution, that matters. That's what matters. And the sheer fact that you're like, yeah, you guys work on that, I'm gonna go win with Madrid. That's where I could see why Jane would make those comments. And that's why I could see why some of us hold some contempt that the fact that he doesn't want to stay with this plan or stay with this foundation that we've created and help build it and help continue to be a cornerstone of it. It'd be one thing if he's just like a fringe player. Like as in, like you could say, if this was all due respect, Cujo, big up. But if it was like Cujo leaving, it would be like, okay, go out, make yourself big, go out and do your thing, this and that, yada, yada, yada. Because he's not that pivotal player just yet. Maybe when he becomes that, we all might change our opinion. But to me, Curtis Jones going out and going on to Real Madrid would be like, wow, okay, cool. Big up for the Scouser, But Trent Alexander leaving is kind of like him saying deuces to his people. And that's what, at least that's how I look at it. And that's why, and deuces to this project that we've built up. So it is what it is. I know some people are getting bored with it. I see Bernie's getting bored with it. But
No, I was just interested what people thought on the two boys, the main boys that were talking about it, kind of the fact that they didn't make that leap themselves and go off and challenge themselves in a different country. So, you
Yeah.
know, how much can they really, really know about what he's thinking and what he's, or else Carragher is saying, well, I wouldn't have said no if Madrid came in for me when I was 28. I'd given 10 years to Liverpool, Madrid came in for me, I wouldn't have said no. If he came out and said that, I'd put more, there'd be more flesh on what he's talking about.
yeah,
If he come out and said, I was there I've been there, we'd won the Champions League, I felt like I'd given my all to the club, I wanted a new challenge, and if Madrid had come in for me, I would have gone. If he came out and said that, if Gary Neville came out and said, I was at Madrid, I was at Man United for 12 years, if Barcelona had offered me a contract, I would have wanted to go to Barcelona.
hmm
I would have done what he's doing. But they don't, do they? They just come out and they just make these kind of feckless statements about other people and what other people should then think about that.
hmm
But yeah,
I
the other thing is Trent is a completely different footballer to Jamie Carragher, and certainly
Mhm.
Gary Neville. Like more of a Gary Neville was a right back more than Jamie
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
More
and some
of an
could argue that
attacking right
Gary
back.
Neville was one of the best right backs of Premier League history.
For the back in the day, that kind of just bomb up and down. Great defender. But they're not in, like, Trent is a special player. We all know that. So
Mhm.
he is in a slightly different kind of league to them
Yeah.
in terms of having that option to go to somewhere like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's all got, like Bernie said, it's all going to
Well,
it's all going to
there,
get done pretty. It's all going to be like when he's not here and the season kicks off and we start a
Mhm.
game, we won't be talking about Trent anymore.
well, plenty of speculation around Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk's contracts. Stenus now takes a little bit more of the center stage as Bernie just said. Some of them, some have become bored with this conversation already and have just moved on. Like Edward, need to focus. Some people just are emphasizing we need the games to start again so we can focus on the games and get this behind us. But unfortunately, yes, and I agree, the lifestyle is huge. That's something that I actually did. I did do a little bit of like a not op-ed, but I did make a comment about on some of those other shows. But what I was saying is plenty of speculation around Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk's contract still is now circulating and taking the spotlight. There are some wild theories out there that suggested that they have already signed extensions. But there is James Pierce, always the ray of sunshine that he is, that has called those ideas absolute nonsense, quote unquote. However, there's cause for optimism around at least Salah's situation, because I will admit that I read a episode or read a article, and I was just like, are these people waiting till I broadcast some of the episodes we do? Because there was an article that is saying something about Virgil van Dijk, but I will say this at least positive thing about Salah. Apparently, Salah's situation, there are reports suggesting he is closer than ever because they have brought back new terms for him to agreeing to new terms. It's closer than ever. That's what reports are saying, to agreeing to new terms. But there is also a article that I did read. You're not going to hear this, so maybe earmuffs for some of the people out there. There is an article saying that Virgil van Dijk might be following Trent Alexander-Arnold to Madrid. That is the article. I mean, let me pull up the exact quote that was given in the article. So it stated that Virgil van Dijk has decided to end his time at Anfield, as recent disappointments such as elimination from the Champions League and defeat in the Carabao Cup final have led Virgil van Dijk to look to new horizons. Virgil van Dijk feels it's time for a change after the lack of recent success has affected his motivation, and a European giant has already begun negotiations over a transfer. It's absolutely. The report added the most talked about destination in recent days has been PSG, but Virgil van Dijk is, according to, and this is why I put it with a big grain of salt, huge grain of salt, actually not even a grain, we call it a boulder of salt, and that is because this is also a quote coming from former Manchester United and Blackburn Chiefs scout Mick Brown, who remains well connected in the game, apparently claims Van Dijk is moving to Real Madrid as a dead certainty, while assessing Los Blancos' interest in Bournemouth's Dean Huijsen. He says, I like him. I think he can become a top-class player, talking about Dean. But he also says that he is on that Virgil van Dijk going to Real Madrid. Absolute certainty. All right, bro. That is some clickbait stuff. That is some clickbait stuff. Oh my goodness. This is what I mean by it's like, as Eber said, true. It's very true what Eber said. These 2 weeks feels like it's 2 months. It feels like 2 months since we've actually had the distraction, at least, the healthy distraction of football that obviously isn't international. That is some typical, yeah. Yes, you can take the earmuffs off now. You can take the earmuffs off, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if you heard all of what I was saying about the let me tell you where that was too. That was on decent rag. Let me see if I can find the actual thing it was in. Whoops. I think it was like Football Planet, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it is. There is some. That is some rich stuff right there. You there, Bri?
Yeah, I am. I'm just typing up something. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, Jimmy, all clear now, right? Exactly. So, let's see. Let me see if I can find the other portion of the actual article. It was a wild one, though. I was just like, okay, whatever. But
this is one thing that Jimmy was saying there, and this is something I've been out of my mind for as well. He's talking about winning the Ballon d'Or, and people are kind of saying, "Oh, you go to Madrid, you have more chance of winning it." You don't. He doesn't. I fully guarantee he has more chance of winning a Ballon d'Or if he was at Liverpool.
Yeah,
because if we did something, it would be more of a standout. Like we all know, to win the Ballon d'Or, you have to either win the World Cup the year it's in, the Champions League the year it's in, or if there's no World Cup, the Euros. And if there's no Euros, then just the Champions League and then whatever else you did. So that would mean he would have to win a World Cup with England and a Champions League with Real Madrid and be pivotal in both of those wins, like be one of the best players in it. That isn't happening, right? That's just not going to happen. The World Cup thing with England, even if they did win it, he's not going to be one of their outstanding players. So then at Madrid, if they go and win the Champions League, you're going to talk about Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinny Jr.
Yeah, you got to stand out amongst all of them.
He's not going to beat them.
Yeah.
That ain't going to happen. No matter how good a season he has, he won't.
And he's not even going to. It's not even. And how are you going to win the Ballon d'Or if you're not going to even be, the main? You possibly might even be the main player playing your position.
No, it's just not. He's he's less than 10% chance of winning it at Madrid. He would have, I would say, maybe a 20% chance of winning it at Liverpool, because he's very little chance of winning it anyway. Because if a team does that, there's going to be 2 or 3 players in that team, and we know it's weighted towards the attacking players.
Yes.
So he would have to have, like, look at what he did. Exactly. You're just going to say, look what he did with us. Record-breaking assists and wins the Champions League. Did he win Ballon d'Or then? Nope.
Yep.
He's not going to win one. He is never, ever going to win a Ballon d'Or. It's just not going to happen unless he becomes a number 10, and we all know he can't do that. Right. We know he's not good enough to play midfield at the elite level.
No, I think that's been put to bed, actually.
Yeah,
definitely.
So it's just not going to happen as far as I'm concerned.
Well, there has been now, Jeremy Frimpong has now become heavily linked with Liverpool, with discussions reportedly underway. Bayern Leverkusen's dynamic fullback, we can definitely say that, could be the answer of Trent. Not if, but, well, I'll keep it as if Trent departs. But competition from City, United, and Chelsea could complicate things for us. They're apparently also interested in the player. But I will say this. What's going to be interesting, to me at least, is the sheer fact that I get it. Right back, there's no really replacing Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's just more so because you can't replace the numbers and the things that he does offensively. You know, there's very few, if any, that play the fullback position on the right side as well as he does. But on the left side of our pitch, there is a player by name of Robbo, and there's a player by name of Simi that might have some competition, if not be targeted as being replaceable, and that is because Milos Kerkez moved to Liverpool is apparently, quote unquote, just a matter of time. The Bournemouth left back could cost us around $52 million. Originally, it was being touted as being $40 million, by $52 million that is. So that's about 40 some odd million pounds, right? 40 and change around there. And he is seen as a priority signing. He is seen as a priority signing. So I'll ask you this. Is the fee for Kerkez justified given Liverpool's needs and the fact that we do have two left backs currently, and possibly even, unlike the right back position, which, albeit Calvin Ramsey is an unknown, uncertain commodity, we do have a young prospect at left back that might not be ready for prime time just yet, but is certainly a prospect. But bringing in a Kerkez basically seals that deal, I would think. Unless you plan on trying to make that prospect that player's backup. Is that how you think do you think that's the plan, Brian?
Kerkez comes in, starts, plays, definitely. So, if he's the guy they're looking at, the money on that sounds about right. Could we then go and take Hyson as well? That's probably not going to happen.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that?
Yeah, why do I think that? It's just sort of, it rarely happens like that. It's just, would we go and buy 2 of their players? Maybe they would take after defense. I don't know. Is it the done thing? I don't know. I just think there's a lot more talk about this guy.
The one player does, the Husam player does have a release clause.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's no. I was just going to say what Bonga, like, I think Hyson has his eye on playing with Trent in the near future. Put it that way.
So you think that he wants to get, because Real Madrid is looking at him, you think that that's ultimately his goal, is to get to Real?
It looks to be that way, just from what bits and pieces I've read. It seems to be that's. But again, he's only had this is breakout year. It's I'd rather go for the left back, as much as I've been bigging up this Heisen kid from the start.
Mhm.
If we can't go and get him, it's going to be complicated, and there's no release clause on him. And Madrid want him. Look, just go and take the left back, and then probably, unfortunately for Simi, he might get a move then in the summer if he can get back 22 million of what it would cost bringing Carquez. That dude, Jamie Carragher Mats, we've half broken even. So that wouldn't be a bad deal for us. But Carquez, again, he's looked fantastic, but we've seen players look fantastic for one season.
Mhm.
But if they're settled on him and they think he's up to it, he's shown he has the abilities. Now it's just, can he make the step up? So I'd be absolutely happy with that. So then you'd move Simi on, you free up the space, you bring in a bit of money, left back for a left back. Then the kid Scanlon, is it? And there's another kid. Robbo becomes the kind of, the senior player there. Plays plenty of games, but Carquez kind of comes in hopefully to start it up. New left back, off we go. Happy with that. I think for that price, that's probably what you're going to have to pay, especially for a good left-sided player who is, even if it's only for a year, Premier League proven at a club that is doing very, very well, by the way. There's that too. They're not just, it's not like he's the best player at Ipswich or something. He's in a good side and playing a big part in it. So I like it. Yeah, I like that deal. I have no problem whatsoever with that deal. That's a good one for me. Good. That'd be a good way to kick it off and start. Solid player, in a position we know we need to bring in someone in, and gets the ball rolling. People will be excited about him as well, I think, because he does have a lot about him. He's not just a defender. He does get involved in attacks, so people will be excited about him. He'll be a bit of a sleeper pick for the fantasy football next year. Will be someone like Kirk, as I'd imagine. Lots of attacking points and lots of clean sheets, hopefully.
Would you be? There's apparently another player that's on the radar. Possibly is an Andrea Cambiaso, the Italian.
Is he son of?
What's
Is
that?
he son of? Is he son of Esteban? Is he son of Esteban Cambiaso? Argentina, Leicester, Inter, Parma?
Well, he possibly. I mean, he's Italian, though.
Yeah, Cambiaso has Italian citizenship as well because the time he spent there.
It could be. I don't know if that's his dad or not, but I know that
it would make sense. It would make sense. He was born there around that time.
He plays for Juventus though. Currently, he's 25 years old. Plays can play. 25 years old. He can play left and right.
Right back. You mean he's a fullback? You mean?
Well, he's a left back. He's a left-sided defender, but he's also a player that can play as a right-sided midfielder as well. I don't know if he plays on the right side as a right back. There were some that were trying to say that he could be a Trent Alexander-Arnold possible replacement, but but he does play on the left side primarily, I believe, for Juventus, and he's played in the midfield on the right side as well. So he has versatility to be playing on both sides of the pitch. He's 25 years old. He is, I think he's a Juventus player.
Because City were looking at him.
Yeah, City are looking at him, but also why he's an interesting thing was because if the Real Madrid thing is right about Trent and the whole nine about that, this was a player that apparently Real Madrid was also possibly targeting as well. So it could be interesting. I don't think it would curtail our interest in Kirkaz, but I'm just asking if maybe getting.
Never heard him.
Okay.
I've never heard him.
I mean, he went for a pretty price too. It's got a current market value of £35.2 million. But that's what his current market value is. But the largest fee he's ever gotten was 7.3 million when Juventus bought him from Empoli.
Empoli, yeah.
Empoli. And on Forest
He
for
has
free.
to be the son of Cambiasso. He has to
Most
be.
He has to
likely.
be.
I can find
gotta
out.
be.
I can find out.
I think
Let's
they
see
would have
for
an
you.
easier path to be professional, the kids or players, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. They were just talking about how I think it was no, I can't believe I'm going. Buffon, how his his son is 17 and he just got his like first like, you know, major start professionally or something like that.
Yep.
I don't think it is.
But look at Enzo Zidane.
They are not related, by the way. They are
No?
not related.
Oh.
According to 442, 442 is pretty reputable. It says the short answer is no.
Okay.
They are not related. The difference in nationality is one nod to that fact, apparently. Since Esteban
but Esteban Cambiasso was playing in Italy. He could have been.
But he did play in Italy. Yeah, he could have married an Italian woman or something, you know.
Or the guy could have been born in Italy, and there you go, Italian citizenship. Straight away.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Yeah, but he was born in Genoa, Italy. 25 years old. Yeah. All right. Well, that was just questions. Just some questions. We can move on because
that was
let's talk about money as opposed to the free. I was going to talk about how Liverpool could face a pretty hefty bill if they're going to be thinking about going for Southampton's Tyler Dibling. Tyler Dibling, priced at about 100 million, over 100 million pounds. That's what Southampton is putting his price tag at. The actual price I had, you can do the conversion, but since I'm reading it, they convert it for me in or my sources, not sources, but you know what I mean. But the sources I read are in dollar signs, so it was 129 million US.
Whoa.
But that's a lot. It's still 129 US is still a lot. 100. That's still 100 something million in euros or in pounds as well. So apparently Manchester City are also interested. I don't see how Manchester City could go for a player like this, considering they just dropped 200 plus million in that January window. Also getting a player for their front line, and to think that they would bring Tyler Dibling in with Erling Haaland on a 9-10 year deal or whatever he's on, you know, a little bit of a stretch for me. There's also obviously money. Alexander Isak, the Newcastle striker, would likely cost even more. But his status as one of the world's best striker probably justifies that a little bit more than Southampton's price tag that they're putting on him.
Yeah, the kid's good and all that, but 100 million quid.
Yeah, they're thinking about the future, aren't they? They know he's going to go. Let's just spruce up his price because we're skint and we got to make money. We're going to the first division next, championship. Sorry. And that's the way football is now. I'm at a point with football now where when you think about that guy at Bournemouth, the centre back who's Spanish, him and that Dibling guy will cost you 200 million nearly, like 170 or something. For two players who just come on the scene in the last season, that is fucking crazy.
You could buy a club a few years ago.
Yeah, big up Michael. Big up Michael. Big up Alexander as well. Big up to you both. Yeah, if we're gonna spend 100 some odd million for a player, I'm in agreement with Michael in that. Yeah, let's knock on Xavi Alonso's door and say, hey, excuse me, if you're not planning on taking Florian Wirtz with you, how's about a nice little 9-figure deal for your player to join our club? Excuse me, but it's a lot. It's a lot. But you could also say, remember that we did have, remember the links for Sarr, remember, from Watford?
Mhm.
That was the part and point about that. Bringing it up is that, some of these teams, despite the fact that they're getting relegated, sometimes some of these players don't have that relegation clause or something in their contracts, and despite the fact that the team's getting relegated, they're more willing to try to say, hey, help us get back up to the Premier League in the Championship, then let the player go. And if you're going to make the player go, give us a lump sum payment that makes us say, okay, we need to part ways. So, excuse me. Big up, Pops, by the way, too. I see Pops
Bless
in the
Bob.
house.
Yeah. Red armchair, Marianne.
Lady Southport's still here at the crib. Big up. Yeah, so it's a lot of money, though. It's a lot of money. That's just honest. I'll ask you then this, though. Should Liverpool break the bank for a young talent like Dibbling? Should we? I mean, he's obviously a player that's highly coveted, a player that is, got some real promising talents.
JK.
I would never spend that much money on him. Never in a million years.
Okay. Guy's got a £16.8 million market value, apparently priced on his head. 19 years old.
I get
national.
what they're doing. I get what they're doing. I hear that. That's what they're just doing that. But
Play
that's saying,
striker. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's saying
striker, he's a center midfielder.
We're not gonna get mucked around, but we don't expect 100 million quid.
Tell us what you think, Pops. I'm sorry. I was gonna say, tell us what you really think, Pops.
But no, that's just them saying, anybody that wants him is going to have to pay up. He's going to cost you. They say 100, probably 70.
I think you'll get the same. I think they're going to look to get the same.
That's what they'd want for it.
Not the same price that you paid for Nunez, meaning the base price, not the extras and add-ons and all that crap. But you'll probably have to you'll have to drop about 65 M's.
Well, if you're talking about something like him, you're talking about Phil Foden. Would be the guy that he'd be replacing, I would imagine, in that kind of role. Alvarez, that kind of thing.
Then what do you do with Foden, though? What do you do with Foden if that happens?
Oh, that's their problem. That's their problem, not mine. They're the one team out there that would probably go and do that because they've done it before with Grealish. They've done it before with other players. But yeah, I don't think he's done anything to even he is brilliant. I've seen him play football. He is very, 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 very good at football. We can all say that. But money, he goes to Man City, gets spat out again.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy one. No, it's not for us. We would not want to be involved in something like that. That's just way too much of your budget to put down on a. Mm-hmm. I mean, where would we play him? Who would he play instead of our team if we still went and did what we need to do anyway? Are we going to build our team around Tyler Dibbling? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd want to be kind of building your team around someone that costs you 70, not the whole thing, but he want to be a major component of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see us doing that. So yeah, he'll go somewhere, but yeah, it's fair play to him coming out and sticking a big price tag on him. everybody just laugh at them, but fair play to them for giving it a go.
Yeah, leave that to Chelsea, as Red Armchair supporter said. Yeah, let them spend that kind of money. There's some funny news and there's some funny news, and there's also some interesting news. There is a shout to keep your eye on Hugo how do you pronounce his last name?
Ekitike.
Ekitike, right? Ekitike, right? Hugo Ekitike. From Frankfurt, or currently playing for Frankfurt. He's apparently on Liverpool's radar as an attacking option since dropping 100 plus M's for Isak is a lot to drop, but he is a player that is apparently on our radar. I was going to ask JK for kind of like some insight on the player, as he is our man with the plan in Germany. And, whether you think it would be a real asset to bring the player to strengthen our attack. Since, let's be honest, Isak is a long shot to be gotten. Do you think that that's the case with that player, JK?
Kane, you're talking about, bro? Or what?
Hugo.
Ekitike.
Ekitike. Not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Simple as. Frankfurt's doing pretty well for themselves. He's a big part of their success, right?
Yeah. Oh, did I, man? Not for me, bro.
Okay.
Not for
me.
Not?
Why is that player not for you?
Say again, bro.
Why would you say that player is not for you then?
Yeah, like sometimes you get a player.
His game is what just doesn't impress you. For him to be.
Do you know his goal tally this season? How much he's got?
I can tell you. Give me 1 second.
Well,
I know there are a lot of players. There are a lot of people in the chat, or not, maybe not in the chat today, but there are some people that have been really bullish on this player. That's why.
Well, you were looking it up. I was going to say, JJ, yeah, I saw Connor on Cop Council about a month ago bring this guy up. And I don't know what prompted him to bring it up, but he was kind of saying exactly what 12th Man is saying here. And props, I said on the night, I brought it up on the show the next day, and I said, this props to Connor and Cop Council. He brought this up. And he was saying, if Isak is too expensive for your blood at 120, well, how would you fancy some Hugo Ekitike? Because he did the stats layover and the thing where, they look at statistics and strengths and all that. And he's basically kind of like a mirror image of Isak. Like what Isak does really well, he does really well. Now, obviously, different leagues, different teams, but he's saying the same strengths. He's good at the same things. So if you're looking for an Isak type striker, then this guy is actually very, very similar in the way he plays and the things that he's good at. Yeah. Now, I was like, oh, cool. I've seen him play, I think, once, so really other than what like people have been saying about him. But yeah, that kind of interests me. It seems to be what the article there is saying, like, if you don't want Isak for 120, well, there's a guy at Frankfurt that's actually quite similar and that sounds like a very FSG Michael Hughes kind of signing, or Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes style thing, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats right now. I mean, obviously they're playing two different leagues, so that is what it is. But they've got their average, SOFA score rating is very, very similar. Is in 7.41 for Isak, 7.27 for Ekitike, and Isak has played about 250 some odd more minutes, but he's got 13 goals to Isak's 19. However, Ekitike has a higher XG and he also has there are 4 assists, 5 assists for Isak. But when it comes to all the other stats, he's got a better with his long balls, his crossing, his interceptions, dribble pass, clearances, block shots. Obviously, we're talking about a striker, so that's not necessarily what the key concern is. But it is for one that if you're going to play a player that's going to be doing a little bit more of that false nine style hybrid role. It also talks about the fact that he's got more successful dribbles, ground duels won, aerial duels won, possessions lost. He is also better at. There was another statistic in there that I saw that was key. I think it was just the XG. But you're also looking at a huge number difference. Market value for Ekitike is 32 million. The market value for Isak is 65 million, basically 64.5 million, but rounding up.
Yeah, you can double Isak's, and you can probably stick another 10 on Ekitike unless it's a release clause. If people start sniffing around, if there's a bit of a bidding war, it might go up to 50. But it's Frankfurt; they can't. They'll sell low enough. Could be a release clause with Frankfurt. A kid like that, it would make sense, especially when it says looking like 32. That's very specific. But yeah, you can double that Isak price. But Romano puts out a tweet, but saying we're going to go to Newcastle with an offer. Now, whether that's, I can already imagine the people coming out going, oh yeah, but they'll offer 50 million. No, he won't, but just so they can say they tried to buy Isak. Yeah, okay, whatever. I've heard, there's already people saying that. It's a fake bid.
You know what the offer I heard is? I'll ask you this question, and this is the speculation, I guess, obviously too. If they say, give us 50 M's, let's say, but drop Kwanzaa in the deal as well.
That wouldn't be enough for them. Nowhere near enough.
I mean, he's a talented player. You could at the market value for a lot of these young players. If you can get he's an English international now being called up. If you can get 65, 70 M's for a Mark Gahey, you should be able to get probably somewhere around 50, maybe 60. If you want to push it,
they'd rather buy him. They'd actually rather buy the guy because that works better on PSR. I know. Like they'll be saying, look, anybody that's interested in Isak, don't come at us with any. We'll give you we've got a lad around the back there. It'll be just come with cash money if you want to try and get him because they don't have to sell. I think for someone like that. That deal could be done separately.
Can I just push back on that a little bit? They don't have to. You're absolutely right. I'm not saying they have to sell. But what I can say, though, is that was apparently the, falling piece or the variable that made, that broke the deal when we initially were, quote unquote, going for Gordon. Now, albeit Gordon wasn't going to be as highly priced as Isak is currently, but he was a big price tag put on Gordon's name or on his head as well. But they asked for Kwanzaa to be a part of the deal.
Oh yeah, they want the player. No doubt they want the player, but they won't. I don't see them parting out their main guy. Like as Barney said, the owners come out and said he's not for sale. So it's I don't think they'll go for. I just think they'll be too proud, to say, oh, we'll take one of your players and we'll give you our best guy and we're getting a part exchange and all that. I think they'll just want, if I was running them, that's the way I do it. Say, go out and buy Kwanzaa if you want to buy him. Try and do that deal. But I don't know. But I just think with Isak, I think they're just, if someone's going to take him, they're going to have to sit there and they'll be sitting there going, well, we got 140 million, we got our full price, yada, yada, yada. We didn't take bits and pieces as much as they would like Kwanzaa. I just think it'd be a kind of because like the whole PSR thing with them, they're clear now. They don't need to sell. They're not under pressure. But like, because I was just talking to someone else about earlier on, I just said, look, Isak is going to have to push for that deal.
Right.
He's going to have some conversations and basically say, look, I want to go. I'd like to go. Not they won't request transfers, but he's going to have to put some pressure on to leave because they don't have to sell him now. So if he wants to leave, he's going to have to do a bit of that legwork himself. Unfortunately, it's not as easy as just coming in and making it happen. So yeah, they're in this, especially if they qualify now for Champions League, they'll be in a very strong position. So I don't see us doing that deal on it. I'd hate to have to do it, because they're saying, Newcastle expect strong proposals from Liverpool and Arsenal for Isak. I bet they do. I bet they do. But, no, can you imagine like spending 2.5 months trying to sign Isak and then it just all falls away at the end? And you've got all your money tied up in it, and you've got all your hopes and your dreams tied up in it. No, not with these guys. If they were under the thumb for PSR and everyone knew it, totally different story. But now they're not. They do hold the cards again. He's got 3 years left. So he's the guy that's going to have to kind of make this deal happen, I think, Isak from his side. And how does he get that done? It'll be the story of the summer anyway. I guarantee you that. Isak will probably be the story of the summer. And I'd love it if we did go out tomorrow and buy an Ekatike, just for example, so people go, they're officially now, you can stop talking about Isak to Liverpool because they've gone and done this. You can just stop talking about it now. Because I don't think it's going to happen, but until it either goes either way or the window shuts, it's probably not going to go away. Or he joins Arsenal or he does whatever. It's going to take that.
Well, can I say something? It's going to. This might be an earmuffs moment again, by the way, people. But there is an old, you talked about won't go away. I'll tell you a story that has not gone away. And this is a story from last summer. Hello, Norm. Hello, Norm. Norm, definitely. Beers raised. But there is a story that has not gone away since last summer as we approach this summer. An oldie but a goldie. This rumor just won't go away. It is a Martin Zubamendi transfer twister. So, in midfield, the Martin Zubamendi saga has taken another twist as the Real Sociedad star seemed Arsenal bound. There was all these, thumbnails and all these different taglines, and you had your Gooners and your Egals and everything else. I know, Jim. I said put the earmuffs on. I told you it was an earmuff moment. But apparently it seemed like he was Arsenal bound after rejecting Liverpool last summer. But now it appears that Real Madrid is also in the race for the player, possibly looking to replace Luka Modric as he now nears 40 years old. That's incredible that that player is still playing at a very, very exceptional level, by the way.
Player that look a day over 45.
Yeah. I do wish
he's
that
looked about 40 for the last 10 years, in fairness to
He has. You're right about that. I will agree with that one. I wish that we had gotten
7 stone wet, man. 7 stone wet. I mean, you know what that means? Like, he weighs nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he weighs nothing. Yeah, he means like
he just running, dominating midfields all over Europe for the last 20 years. Absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous player. One of the best I've ever seen, Modric. Absolutely phenomenal player.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he is a player that, again, is on the verge of possibly being, I guess you could say, replaced, and by this certainly exceptional player in itself, Martin Zubamendi, and This one could go right down to the wire. That's according to the Spanish outlet Cope, I guess, or Cope, because Zubamendi is still considering his options, he said. It claims that Real Madrid is also in for the 26-year-old simply because they are willing to pay his 65 million, or it's the 51 million pounds or 60 million euros. I did my own conversion on that one. Release clause. Luka does again turn 40 later this year, but Los Blancos obviously need a succession plan there. I don't know if he is the right player that will answer that succession plan, but it's obvious that Zubamendi is not content on just his current surroundings as he was before. Would you think of Liverpool throwing their hat in the ring one more time for Mr. Zubi? I'll ask that of JK. And the chat, please tell me. I know if you didn't hear the question, you might still have your earmuffs on. But would you say, Zubi, are you interested? Like, what rumor excites you? And I'll even ask this: what rumor excites you more, Ekatike or Zubamendi?
Oh, Zubamendi, if I had to choose. But for me, Zubamendi would have been a perfect buy in the January window if it was possible to do. But for me, I think that bridge is already burnt.
Okay.
It's a bit messy, how that all sort of turned out. And I've also heard recently Madrid are still after him, and you know how it is.
Okay. How about for you, Brian? Yeah, there you go.
Neither of them are really. Yeah, Ekatike, if I'd seen more of him, okay, maybe. I like the sound of the guy, very much like the sound of the guy. And if he was someone we're interested in, then I'd be, like, if he was someone the coach wanted and we got him, I would be excited by that. Zubamendi, bit like yesterday's papers, that kind of initial kind of excitement about getting him, that's just the way it is. If it's a year later, fine, okay, get him in, and we'll probably grow to, really like him and appreciate him if he's that good. But no, I would be always more excited by a young, gifted striker coming in, someone that's wanted by the club and thinks they can do the business, as long as it's not just a cheaper version of someone else. But I'd be a little bit more excited by that, especially because considering these days, you usually know everybody, and sometimes it's good not to know too much about a player. And they come in and you get to learn about them with your own eyes, as opposed to, oh, I read 1,000 articles on him and I've always bought him in Football Manager and I always buy him.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to just go, oh, look, who's this guy? I haven't seen him. I'll wait and make up my own mind. Sometimes, that's the way, it's better. Sometimes it's more fun to do it that way. So, especially if we got him at a good price like that, if that is a release clause at 32 million, there wouldn't be a ton of pressure on him. He could come in. What is he French? Is he French?
French, yes.
Yeah, okay. Does he play? Does he get in the French team?
Let me find out.
Anyone see much of him? Yeah, so I don't know. Notorious saying Ekatike is rapid, but is as raw as Darwin. Yeah, and saying Ekatike very raw, good hold-up player, clinical right foot, 1 to 2 years away from what they want, which is usually when we buy, Norm. Usually when we buy is when they're 1 to 2 years away from, well, hopefully maybe one.
I don't think he has played with the international team.
Yeah. We buy him with the room to improve. We don't usually buy the finished article, as it were. Zubamendi, though, I'd love to see that, because I'm very interested in seeing Gravenberch move forward one. Now, what that means for Grav or Dom or Mac, however that might be. But I'd be interested to see Grav play in a number 8 role more, where he can get forward more. So to bring in a DM behind him like that, that's if Mendy deal, that'd be great. Give us more options next year. We can switch that. We know Grav can sit deep now. So if Subi or whoever that might be isn't fit, blah, blah, blah. But I definitely think there's a lot more to come from Gravenberch in a more advanced role and more box-to-box number 8 kind of guy. And we'll see even more from him then. So I'm looking forward to that one. So yeah, they'd be great signings. They will. I think that'll be 2 really solid little signings right there. You know,
That's rough settings there, by the way. Aquilani. Zubimendi's Spanish. Aquilani's Italian, though.
I read saying he scored a hat-trick versus England under-21s last week. Yeah, sign him up.
Okay.
Sign him up.
Okay. I've got to find. I'm definitely going to look up some footage for you, Norm. Norm is really, really, really bullish on the Dutch player, Reed. I got to look up some footage for him. I'll see what it is. I'll also look at. Let me see if I can find that too. Hold on.
Michael is very big on Angelo Stiller as well tonight, as somebody's mentioned a couple of times. Not someone whose name I've seen in the dispatches. I've heard of the guy. I mean, I've never seen us linked with him, but Michael has been talking about DM. Angelo Stiller.
And it's Angelo Stiller?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Play for Stuttgart?
Yeah, Michael is big up on him, or he's big on him tonight for.
Okay.
For DM.
Yeah, base DM Stuttgart, yeah.
Very interesting.
Doing well. He's doing well. He's okay.
We've had some decent success in getting a DM or two from, or at least one, from Bundesliga recently.
He started from Bayern in his youth days. Like one of them type of guys, you know. He started at Man City, ended up here. Started at Bayern, ended up here. So he started to sort of have a big club, you know. So he's got it in him to be a good little player. Yeah.
He's starting for Germany. Starts for
Germany as well. Yeah. So he's getting international sort of fame. He's about 23. Yeah.
Yep,
I don't think it'll be a big fee. Yeah. Won't be a big fee as well. He's doing well.
You think he's going to be a big fee? Interesting. He's got a
it wouldn't be.
27.6 million pound market value apparently right now. I mean, if we're going for value, the Gerardo Reed guy is at 3.2 million pound market value, so he could be a steal and a half. Apparently, I'm trying to see. They say I'm trying to see if they have like on FB Ref. They sometimes give you the players that he's most like. Let me see if I can get that. I don't think they do get them for him. He's played in 17 matches so far, and he played in the Champions League, obviously. For Feyenoord. All right.
You can do it at the start.
I'll do some research on
it. If you don't go into the guy, if you just go to the base page, you can just put his name. You can put in the compare players thing first before you go into the player. You might be able to do it that way.
Yeah, because sometimes let me see.
But he might not have enough data to compare it to someone.
I don't know if he has enough data because he only got 17 games played.
Yeah, it might be that as well.
I'll check it out. I'll do more. I'll do a pretty thorough look at these guys. I'll make sure I'll leave a note for myself to give a good look at those players. I don't know too much about either of them really. But I know that Stuttgart is having they're having a decent year, right?
Yeah, no, JK, they've had a few decent seasons actually.
Last season, yeah.
They got bet by West Ham in the Europa League final, wasn't it? Europa Conference final. Was it them who got knocked out of that? Well, they went deep, or was it Frankfurt? Frankfurt or Stuttgart? I can't remember. But they had a good season in Europe,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And then Stuttgart got Champions League this season.
Right. I know. Oh, yeah, they did. They're mid-table now, right? But
yeah.
it's Frankfurt that's fighting for top 4.
Yeah, the team that gets Champions League always drops off when they're not expected to, because they can't manage both, like Villa.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you the truth. I mean, there is a player that was mentioned yesterday that the more and more I think about it would be a fantastic player. I know that someone's going to be like, "Oh, that's me using my American bias," but Sergino Dest is not a bad player, not a bad thought at that right back spot. Now he is most likely about the same level defensively as Trent Alexander-Arnold, but going forward, he is a talent. He is definitely a talent. I would prefer to have, truthfully, Jedi on the left than I would Sergino Dest, but you know, if it's about, you know, the fact that you know, he's a player that can play both left and right, by the way. Sergino Dest can play on the left side and he can play on the right side.
So
he's
can
decent.
that kid Frimpong.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until the other. Frimpong can do that as well, so that might be another feather in his cap. He can play both sides.
Yeah. And there probably wouldn't be that big of a. Yeah, it was KJ said it. He said that KJ said he would take a gamble on Dest, but he also said he would rather, you know, Jedi over Kirkez on the left side too. I'd rather have Jedi over. Kirkez is a talent. Don't get me wrong, but Jedi is a player. And when I say Jedi, I mean obviously Anthony Robinson, from Fulham, is a player. And
one thing I haven't heard about him, about Anthony Robinson, which I very, very strange, because you talk about him like he plays for America, but he's not American.
Okay, let's not go down that route. But okay, yeah.
No, but but Anthony Robinson, he was born. I'm not having to go with you. He was born.
I know. He was born in
Milton
I know.
Keynes.
Dara brought it up. I've heard it.
Yeah, but he was born in Milton Keynes. But you know where he was raised.
Every time I say Jedi, he's like,
you're taking me up wrong. You're taking me up wrong. You've taken me up completely wrong. I'm just trying to give some facts to people in the chat. He was born in Milton Keynes, but do you know where he was raised? He was raised on Merseyside.
Huh?
He's a Scouser.
Oh wow!
Anthony Robinson is a Scouser.
That.
Yeah, he was born in. I wasn't having to see. You're so defensive when it comes to Americans. I wasn't having to go with you. He was born in. I only learned this yesterday.
If I see him, I'll say what's. I'm gonna bring that up.
Yeah,
if I see him.
But he was brought up. He was raised on Merseyside. So I've not heard one person bring that or mention that about Anthony Robinson. Like in all the times he's been linked with us, I've never heard one person mention. Yeah, the guy literally grew up on Merseyside, born in Milton Keynes. His dad's an American citizen, so he qualifies for.
His grandmother is too. Yeah.
Yeah, his dad has the card or whatever, so he chose to play for them. But yeah, the guy's basically a Scouser, so get him in the team. You know, like why has no one mentioned this before? I thought he was from Washington or New York, because I didn't know until yesterday. Like, because I just saw it was like a thing before. It was like KJ. Yeah, sorry, I missed it. But it was like a thing I read yesterday. Players who were playing for countries that could play for England, like Haaland could play for England, blah blah blah. And then and then he was at the bottom of the list.
He was born when his dad was
born in Leeds.
Yeah,
he was born in Leeds. He was literally born in England. So yeah, there's loads of them. Musiala, all these people. But I was like, oh, Anthony Robinson. But yeah, born in Milton Keynes, raised on Merseyside. Get him in the team.
I'm gonna start that campaign. I'm gonna start that campaign right now. Definitely. You're gonna see hashtag Scouser, hashtag Jedi, hashtag Jedi Scouser. How about that?
Jedi Scouser. There you
Also, I was asked to ask this question, Brian. I don't know if that's is
No
that true?
comment.
No comment. Okay. All right. We'll move quickly up from that one. Okay.
We only got caught for one of them. That was Tony Cascarino. Everyone else was sound. Everyone else was all right.
Everyone was all right. Everyone, the kids are all right.
Yeah, Cascarino played for us plenty of times, and it turned out like we called up a lot of people who, like, I still never understand it. Mark Lawrenson never played for England. One of our
Mm-hmm.
best ever defenders never played for England. Ray
Mm-hmm.
Houghton, one of our best ever midfielders, never got a game for Scotland. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Scotland. Okay, we'll take him. Uh, Townsend, a lot of people like that. Yeah, they had Irish, a lot of Irish people in England, so a lot of Irish grandmothers and grandfathers. But we called up Tony Cascarino, and he played plenty of games for us. And it came out like later on then that he was about as Irish as fucking Fraggle Rock. Do you know what I mean? He was just like, yeah, no, he had no Irish ancestry at all. He was not qualified to play for us. But yeah, like Red was saying, he wasn't. So we only found that out years later. But yeah, we called him up, man. If he didn't want him, we called him up. Ray Allen, Mark Aronson, we'll take him all.
I will say this too. There's other two. There is apparently some breaking news, but I will say this as far as the Isak news. Apparently, Liverpool are considered to be considerably ahead of Arsenal in the pursuit of Isak, with the 25-year-old having discussed his future with Newcastle United and is excited with Arne Slot's plans for him. Liverpool have also opened talks with, obviously, like I said, Ikiteke, camp as well, prioritizing his inclusion with Liverpool if the Isak news doesn't work out. And then also there is the news that Liverpool are close. Now, this is something that Pops asked me yesterday. Maybe Pops has seen into the future, but Liverpool are close to agreeing to a new long-term contract for Connor Bradley. So apparently they are not going to put that the chance that the young man is going to be given another year to develop before they choose whether they are going to commit to a future with him. So that's good to hear. What if you were
I like that as well.
Well, are you all for giving him a long-term deal? Like, what kind of deal would you offer him?
Me on Bradley. No, I really
Yeah.
like that idea that we've gone in strong for Isak, and we've got Ekatike on the back burner. I just like that, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that we're going big. We're showing ambition. Your favorite word.
Yeah.
If it's true, I mean, again, like I said, we're going to go through the ringer a million times on this one. There's going to be a transfer rumor every single day, but
Right.
I just like the idea of us going for a big striker, but also having a backup option like Ekatike that we're working on as well. I like the idea that gives me a sense that we're planning things, but we're also trying to be proactive and ambitious in the market. And we haven't. Again, season isn't even over. Look, I'm as bad as the next person. I get caught up in transfer rumors just as bad as the next person. So, but I just like.
I know. Everyone's trying to shut your optimism down about Isak right now.
Go get him. Go get him,
Norm.
man. Go get him.
Yeah.
Go do it. Go do it, Norm. Go do it, man. Go and do it. This is a once in a decade summer for us. This is a once in a decade summer, and
Yeah.
I still have faith that our owners do believe that, and that we're going to have a big summer this year. But I think they realize that things that haven't happened over the last, like JK mentioned, things that happened over the last 4 or 5 windows. We've come to a point where we need to have a big summer, and I think we will have a big summer, and it'll set us up for the next 4 or 5 years, which So making up for the last 4 or 5 years and setting us up for the next 5 years. And I think really going out and making that statement in the market as Premier League champions, as champions of England, as the biggest club in England, the most successful club in England, going out and bidding for the best players. Might not get them. Go out and bid them. Go out and try and get them.
Yeah. Osimhen, I don't. I'm not really. He's had a couple of injury issues with himself as well, but I am. I'm kind of offy coffee with Osimhen. But yeah, we'll
Yeah, a
see.
bit of a mad one, the whole Turkey thing and all of that. So it took a bit of the shine off it. Like if he was banging him in Italy now, like he was a year ago, he's on 20 goals or something. But it's the whole him going to Turkey for a year thing is kind of, yeah. I hope he gets a big move because he's good. I hope he doesn't end up as one of those kind of whatever happened to Victor Osimhen type things, because he's seriously good. He's too good to be getting involved in that. Like I don't know, maybe Chelsea or something. Well, no, not Chelsea, but I don't know, just a big club, a good club. I don't think he's our type of striker though. Is he very similar to a run in behind type Darwin Núñez guy, as opposed to a drop deep Bobby Firmino type that we all seem to expect that we need. But I think Osimhen is great. He's a real old school, amazing finisher.
Would you rather do the
try in the Premier League,
that kind of investment, which is what it'll take for him, or would you rather go for, or would you rather just see us say, you know what, let's hypothetically, I'll make a scenario. We can't get, we could either go all in for Isak, or we could bring in Ekitike and Harry Kane.
Oh, well, no, I was with you through the Harry Kane, but
yeah, but he's 31, turning 32 in the summer, right?
Well, it's Harry Kane.
No Gordon, by the way. No, I'm not even bringing up that name right now. I don't want to even talk about that guy. Yeah.
Well, Norm is very pro Dr. G.
I like Gordon as well. I think he's a good little player. Become a very good player, man.
Yeah, I get you.
Good player, bro. I've never had an issue with Gordon. Never had an issue with Gordon. He signed to play for us, bro. He's one guy who's from Liverpool.
I didn't know that. Are you that big of a diving fan? You're into diving?
Yeah, but if you tell him not to dive for Liverpool, you won't do it, bro.
Team Speedo. That's basically what he is. What is? If you became a Liverpool player, hey, more power to you. I'll support you. I'll back you. But
but the fee will have to pay for him, bro.
I don't know. I don't think he's worth the fee that is connected to his name, to be honest with you. But again, let me look up really quickly what it was that they paid for him. All right.
Yeah, so, they're not going to sell us their whole forward line either.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But again, and there's no way. And again, even if we were to revisit that, for Isak, would I consider putting in a transfer deal that included Kwanzaa? Possibly. But for Gordon, no. Even with Kwanzaa still working his way back to the form and shape that we want to see him in, I'd rather take that gamble than try to risk it all for a player in Gordon who, again, I could tell you his numbers too. Let me tell you something real quick. Did not want to talk about this guy, but apparently I am. Just when you think you're out, pull you back in, right?
Pull you back in. I wouldn't let Kwanzaa
go. Let's go with Yes. So League 2024, and let's do League. Whoops. All right. So currently in the Premier League, Gordon trails a player that a lot of people out here in our parts of the woods do not rate or wouldn't mind seeing go, and that is Lucho, our red, blue, and gold, or red, blue, and yellow, if you want to say it that way. 9 goals to Gordon's 6 in the Prem currently. He's got 5 assists, Gordon does, and 4 assists for Lucho. So it's not like he's some dynamic assist giver, considering he does have a forward that scores a lot of goals. He apparently is not the player giving out a lot of those assists to that player too much. So, but again, I think it's a wash when it comes to that. I don't think Gordon is better. Personally, I just don't think Gordon's better than Lucho, but I also don't think that Gordon's better than Cody, to be honest with you. If you out there think that a Gordon at his best or a Gordon at his best is better than a Cody at his best, hey, that's your opinion. I'd love to hear. I'm open to listen to it, but I just don't agree.
No, not for me. I like Gakpo. He's top.
I just don't agree.
Top professional, everything.
And I get you. Norm's like, stats are bull. 12. Judge with your eyes. I got you, Norm. I got you, sir.
I think he's more like Gakpo. I think he's very different in as much as you can be different as a left winger to Diaz. Diaz likes to play the game differently. Gordon is much more direct. Probably doesn't take as many touches as Lucho. Doesn't dribble as much. Doesn't take players on. He's much more kind of get in behind, first touch, shoot, or get in behind, cut the ball across, use his pace a lot. I think Lucho and Gordon are very, so Gordon is very similar enough in that way to Gakpo, I think. Gakpo doesn't want a ton of touches. He just wants to get the ball and shoot. He's a much better finisher. Gordon's a good finisher, but Gakpo is in my opinion, much better finisher than Anthony Gordon. But
you still no one answered you didn't answer the question though. You didn't answer the question though, my original one. Before I go to my last segment was something that you spoke on yesterday too, Brian. So it's a small segment. It's not even. It's just something.
What was the question?
The question was: Do you drop 120 M's, let's say, for Isak, or do you drop possibly? It wouldn't be 120 M's to get both of those players, probably. I just looked it up. They did spend quite a bit of money for Kane. Obviously, if he's pushing for the move, that can obviously influence the price tag that actually is being that will be agreed on. But 86 million, I think it was, or something around that number was what they paid for. The 86 million pounds is what they paid for Kane. But let's say they go for 70 M's and we can get the other Ekatike for 30 M's. Okay. 30, 40 M's, let's say. Okay. So for 110, we can get Ekatike and Harry Kane. And for 120, we'd have, hopefully you can tell Max isn't in the chat, because he'd be like, that's not even possible. But for argument's sake, let's say 120 M's gets the job done. Would you go for Isak?
Because Isak is the future, Kane is the past. Ekatike is just collateral damage. But going out and signing Isak sends a kind of a statement. So Kane 4 years ago, yeah. Kane now, no.
Wow.
And
So
I
you're
don't like
Isak.
Harry Kane.
I know you can
Yeah,
say it's,
no, but I
you're
don't like
Isak.
Harry Kane.
You're an Isak camp.
Oh yeah, I've been Isak all along. Yeah, but I don't like Harry Kane, so it's personal with me. Harry
Oh,
Kane,
I
I just
gotcha.
don't like
I
him.
gotcha.
Really don't like him. Brilliant player, but I don't
Okay.
want to see him in a Liverpool kit.
Okay. M. Hussein, big up, by the way. Believes elsewise. He likes Harry Kane. Yeah. Gladly have him at Liverpool. Okay. Norm agrees, I think, with all of us in that I think that Cody has the potential to be better or more of a better Liverpool player possibly than either Gordon or Lucho, in his opinion.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gakpo in Holland at his best was, I know it's in Holland, but the Gakpo in Holland was like Gordon times two. Okay, so if Gakpo can get to that level in England, he will be definitely better than Gordon.
Yeah. JK, real quick, do you want to give an answer? Tell us in the chat real quick too. Give us your answer. I guess M. Hussein would say that his pick would be Kane, and I'm throwing in Ekatike as like a little sweetener in that, considering that Kane is at a little bit more of an advanced age when it comes to football players. But
I will go with Isaac because of the years he could stay with us, and we didn't have to look for no one else in that way. Kane,
so
2
you
years,
want
Joe.
to go with Isak again? You're with Brian that you want to go with Isak?
Even though Kane came in, happy days, 2 years, man.
Yo, you're breaking up a little bit. What were you saying?
I was just saying, if Kane came in for 2 years, bro, he's scoring 25 plus goals. I don't know how much he'll get. He will score loads.
Oh yeah, it's a huge trade-off.
Huge trade-off. I know that. I'll get that for people too. So I just saw. Oh, big up, Hustle Bones. Long time no see, but good to see you back. I just saw Jimmy's the no to Kane. Okay. KJ agrees with the Kane option. And keep in mind that's Harry Kane with an Ekatike sweetener on there. To add to the sugar cane there. Where was it that there was someone that spoke up? Oh, about 400K. That's what he was saying. Let's see.
A lot of money. A lot of the money.
I know that he makes a good chunk of change for them. He definitely does. But I think that's also not 400,000. That's not 400,000 pounds. That's 400,000 euros. But I mean,
yeah, give England 5 minutes, man, and that'll be actually worth more. The pound ain't as strong as it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
Give it 5 minutes. Those euros could be worth more, man.
Okay. Oh, maybe it is.
That's an interesting one.
Actually, it is. Apparently, he makes 480,000. He doesn't even make 400,000. He makes 480,000 a week. Holy crap!
Oh, Bayern don't mess
That's how you
around.
sign That's how you sign the
They
England
do not
captain,
mess
bro.
around. When it comes to money, they'll pay. They will pay. They don't hide away from big wages.
They always pay the high wages and what.
Yeah, they don't just go big with the you'll win trophies here kind of thing. They go, and we'll also pay you more than bloody Madrid will. We're not fucking around when it comes to money.
Yeah. I mean, they basically more than doubled his salary from Tottenham. He's making 238 around let's just call it 240 to make it easy. So he's making a little under 240,000 at Tottenham, but he's now making over double that.
Oh, his famous 7-year deal that his brother decided to talk him into signing at Tottenham. Yeah, well done on that one, morons. He won nothing.
How about this, Brian? I wish that I wish that Trent Alexander-Arnold had the kind of brother that Harry Kane had, to be honest with you.
And my brother met Harry Kane's brother on holiday.
Yeah.
I've seen videos. There's a famous video of him with his. Oh, he has a motorbike in his office.
Mm-hmm.
He has a fake burnout mark put into the floor. Like it's put into the floor. It's like it's just like a fake burnout thing beside his bike, which he's obviously never ridden because it's in an office. It's just pure cringe. It's pure David Brent from The Office stuff. It's so cringe. It's like because like everyone's like, look, I'm going. Like if Harry Kane wasn't your brother, you would not be a football agent. Like,
oh yeah,
the guy is just a joke.
I don't think that Trent's brother would be probably a football agent.
Of course not.
If he wasn't, yeah. I think as soon as he saw the path of what his brother was on with Liverpool,
These guys,
he decided very early that was
when you hear that their brothers are their agents, it's basically telling you that they do their own stuff. Like that they're actually intelligent people. They're switched on. They can handle most of it themselves,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't actually need a proper agent. They can cut their own brother in and go, look, you just do all this stuff, and okay, you're good at it. But those are people that can usually handle their own lives pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no coincidence that he's in England. He's based in England. He isn't traveling abroad. I wouldn't be surprised if, like Fabrizio Romano always talks about it. Every single time he does something, every third video, he says, when a player changes agent, that means it's almost certainly because they're about to change clubs. So, like Trent might now need because he's abroad.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's moving abroad now. His brother won't know that he might need an agent now in Madrid, to get all this shit done. So, like that's where Romano says, like whenever these guys they tell their brother to take a weekend off and they go to a professional guy. Yeah. It's because they're moving. If he's staying in England, his brother can handle his shit. Doesn't need a big time agent.
Right.
He can work on the contracts with himself. And so, yeah, it's I'd imagine now that when he's gone to Madrid, someone else might also be representing him. But his brother will probably still keep his status, but to get that sweet 10%, But he might also have someone else handling his business out in Madrid because that's different. Like
there is a question. There is a thing that I was going to bring up last but not least, which was because we're a little bit over on time, but there was something I was going to bring up, something that Brian spoke on yesterday, and that was the World Cup, the Club World Cup, and the Premier League has announced a new summer transfer window to accommodate clubs competing in the revamped Club World Cup. So while Liverpool isn't involved in it this year, I don't know if we want to. I don't know if there's some that might be against us being involved in this competition, especially since it happened so late in the summer. But there's and it could impact. Obviously, it's going to impact the way that teams go about their training camps, in the sense of like trying to give some of the young talent a chance to be really looked at and the likes and such. When you're in a competition that you're actually fighting for the silverware, and it does have a very big price tag involved with it, it does make a difference. There is the parts and points about it that apparently, because of the placement of this competition, Real Madrid are trying to push for the deal to be finalized and done with Trent so that they can get him to be involved with their team's involvement in this competition, in the Club World Cup. do you think that we, do you think that we should give two F's or two D's, however you want to look at it, two dams, or about, about what Real Madrid wants about this whole Trent thing? I'll ask that. I'll ask you, JK, about that.
I would put it on a back burner, bro, until the season finishes. Then we can say what we want regarding that, because it's not official yet. Always remember that. Not official. So that'd be funny. It's not official. It ain't gonna happen. So for me, I'm just waiting till I'm just bothered about the derby game, bro.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice if Trent was going, he was going, but we had to play Real Madrid in the Champions League in the semi-final if we beat Villa. That would, for me, and we beat them. That would have been just been perfect.
I don't know how they would. By the way, I see people saying they can wait or they can pay. Choose one. That's what Pop is saying. And then like Bonkers is all saying, give us money, then we can. Then we will sign. Then you can sign him early. I don't think that's how. I mean, unfortunately, that option is kind of gone and past. I think we won't have the ability unless Trent works out some crazy. Okay, let me re-sign real quick. Let me re-sign a 1-year deal with you or something, some like cheeky extension that has like a buyout clause or something that Real Madrid would be willing to partake and us get something back for Trent in one way or another. That is still an option that he could possibly, his team could do if they really are caring about, not leaving Liverpool holding the bag, basically. But which is a question.
No, they'd have to pay to get him out early before July 1st, and that's what they were talking about.
Oh, that's what they're referencing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's that. What are they calling it? Like an emergency transfer window that they're opening up for the clubs in the Club World Cup, which they've now opened for the Premier League because the Premier League
has teams involved.
Want that too. No, it's because they don't want clubs who don't have clubs involved. There's also now one in the Premier League where that'll open early as well because they don't want to be blocked out of deals. So what they're saying was they were going to open a transfer window, but just for the clubs involved in the Club World Cup. And everyone else is going like, yeah, but hang on, no. The players are being sold. We want to be able to buy them. Like you can't. That's just a closed shop for those clubs in there. Oh, guess what? Real Madrid just bought away from some. It's like no. It should be an open, free market. So now their window will open, and then that will close, and then reopen again, just like the one for those teams. So until that closes, they would have to pay us whatever we charge them to allow him to leave early because we pay him until the end of that month. They want him in the start of that month. A nominal fee. We're like, no, sorry. He has a club duty. He's due with a charity bingo raffle on Sunday
exactly.
morning. Sorry. It's been penciled in. You know what the Women's Institute are like. You don't want to let them down.
Exactly. He's got responsibilities on parade cleanup. So
yeah, he's cleaning the car park on Wednesday. But it's come on, no, make it as difficult as possible. Yeah. I don't care about 4 or 5 million quid for the club. We're not in that dire straits. So make it as
make them have to wait. Yeah, rightfully so. I got what you're saying. Well, that's about all we have for today's show, people. I see that Norm is about to sign off. I know it's very late for some of those out on the European part of our globe. But I do appreciate everyone and all that did stay with us today. Once again, some great numbers for today's show. So really do appreciate you guys honoring us by choosing to include your contributions to the show and be a part of it. It really does make a difference. I was just going to say, basically, stay tuned for tomorrow's show. We're thinking about doing we're going to do a quiz, but I think we're going to do it on Monday. But I do have an episode that wasn't originally planned, but I do have an episode I was working on before today's show that I'm going to have fine-tuned for tomorrow. I think it's one that you guys will like, considering something that we've been talking about somewhat passionately about in other parts and points. So I would definitely say stay tuned for tomorrow. Follow us on social media, obviously. Liverpool 12th Man, it's very easy. I'm going to allow for our great panel to say what they have maybe for their own channels, or if they have just a final thought that they want to share with the chat. We'll go JK first. I see he's off mute, so I'll go with JK first.
Yeah, first of all, big up the chat as always. Bernadette, KJ, Norman, Pops, Jimmy, Alexander. Oh, there's a lot of people, bro. Red Armchair, as always. Top guys. Yeah, bro. I think it was a nice show today because of we're not all rampant about the Trent topic no more. We were chilled. It was nice, bro. Chilled. Yeah, man. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. And press the like on the button on the video as well. That'd be very much appreciated.
Brian?
Yeah, just thanks everybody for being in. And tomorrow sounds intriguing, so make sure you come back. Find out what that's all about. I don't know what that's all about. So, yeah, thanks everybody. 20 people in now, which is great. Nearly midnight here. And yeah, that's like JK said, just hit the like button, all that silly stuff. Sorry, I'm in quite a bit of pain at the moment. But yeah, thanks everybody. See you all tomorrow.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, big April ahead of us as we definitely come to a close on a March that we somewhat would like to forget for the most part. But hey, April is on the horizon. So as they say, tomorrow is a new day. And I hope that you'll be with us tomorrow for our new day. And as always, I wish you the best. I hope that you're doing well with your health, your family as well. And as you are our family, which we all are, all a global Reds family, I can only say this: up the Reds every time, my friends and family, up the Reds. So we will see you tomorrow. Big up to everyone, and we will talk to you then. Take care.